For 5 years, someone used my backyard like a dumping ground. Small bones, random, annoying, constant. I never had proof until one afternoon I caught him red-handed. And that's when I decided I wouldn't confront him. I'd just give everything back. If you've ever dealt with a neighbor who pushed things just a little too far, you're gonna love this one. Hit that like button, subscribe for more real revenge stories, and stick around, because this is one of those slow burn payoffs that hits perfectly. Let's get into it. You know how some problems in life aren't big enough to explode over, but they never fully go away either? That was this. It started small, so small, I almost ignored it completely. Every once in a while, maybe once every month or two, I'd be out mowing the lawn or trimming the edges of my backyard, and I'd find it. A bone. Not a full bone, not something dramatic, just chunks, gnawed, worn-down pieces, the kind you give to a dog. At first, I didn't think much of it. Maybe a stray animal dragged it in. Maybe it got blown over. Maybe it was just one of those weird, unexplainable things that happen. So I picked it up and threw it away. No big deal. But then it happened again, and again, and again. Same kind of bone, same worn-down edges, same odd placement, like it had just landed there. That's when my brain started connecting dots. My yard was fenced in, fully enclosed. Nothing was just wandering in and out freely. And out of all my neighbors, only one had dogs big enough to chew on bones like that. An older guy, quiet, kept to himself, the kind of neighbor you only see in passing, maybe once every few months. I didn't know it was him, but I suspected. Still, suspicion isn't proof, so I didn't say anything. I just kept picking them up, but instead of throwing them away, I started tossing them into a small storage container in my shed. At first, it was just convenience. I didn't feel like walking to the trash every time, but over time, it became something else. A collection. Month after month, bone after bone, they stacked up. And with every new piece, that tiny irritation grew just a little bit stronger. Not enough to explode, but enough to linger. It's funny how something so small can sit in the back of your mind like that. Not anger, not rage, just quiet annoyance. Until one day, it stopped being quiet. It was early afternoon. I had gotten home from work earlier than usual. Sunlight still high, everything still bright and active. As I pulled into my driveway, I saw movement next door. There he was, the neighbor. He was out in his yard, pushing his mower slowly across the grass. Nothing unusual. But then, he stopped, bent down, picked something up, and without hesitation, without even looking around, he tossed it right over the fence, into my yard. I didn't need to check what it was. I already knew. But I did anyway. I got out of my car, walked over, and there it was. Another bone. Freshly tossed. No doubt, no question, no maybe. 5 years of suspicion confirmed in a single careless motion. And standing there, holding that piece of bone, I felt something shift. It wasn't explosive anger. It wasn't confrontation. It was something quieter, colder, calculated. Because in that moment, I realized something important. If I confronted him, what would happen? He'd deny it, or he'd apologize once and keep doing it. Or worse, he'd double down just to be petty. People like that don't respond to logic. They respond to consequences. And I didn't want an argument. I wanted resolution. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to knock on his door. I was just going to return what belonged to him. All of it. That evening, I waited. I let the sun start to dip low, the air cooling, the neighborhood settling into that quiet pre-night calm. Then I walked out to my shed, opened the container, and just stood there for a second, because I had underestimated something. There were a lot of bones, years worth, every single one I had ever picked up, sitting there like evidence, like a record of quiet disrespect. I grabbed the container, walked over to the fence, and started throwing. One by one at first, each piece making a soft thud as it landed on the other side. Then faster, more rhythm, more intent. It became almost mechanical. Pick up, throw, repeat. And with each toss, something inside me loosened. Not anger, not rage, just release. Like every minor irritation, every moment of, "What the hell is this doing here?" was being sent right back to its source. Minutes passed, then more. I didn't rush it. I took my time, because honestly, it felt good. There's a certain kind of satisfaction in quiet, controlled revenge. No shouting, no drama, just balance. By the time I was done, I probably threw over 100 pieces back over that fence. The container was empty, my yard was clean, and for the first time in years, it felt like the situation had finally been addressed, without a single word. A week went by, no bones. Another few days, still nothing. Then one morning, as I was leaving the house, I saw him. We crossed paths near the driveway, one of the only times I had seen him up close in years. And his face, that told me everything I needed to know. Tight jaw, furrowed brow, eyes that didn't quite meet mine. He looked deeply, unmistakably annoyed, disgruntled, like someone who had just been forced to confront something they never expected to be called out on. And me? I couldn't help it. I smiled. Not a smug, exaggerated grin, just a quiet, satisfied smile, because we both knew. But here's the best part. He didn't say a word, not one. Because what could he say? "Hey, why did you throw all those bones into my yard?" That conversation doesn't work unless you admit where they came from. And he wasn't going to do that. So we stood there for a brief second, in silence, then went our separate ways. And just like that, it was over. I haven't found a single bone in my yard since. Not one. 5 years of a problem solved in 30 minutes. No confrontation, no escalation, just perfect, quiet justice. The real payoff wasn't just seeing his reaction, it was the absence that came after. No more bending down mid-mow to pick up something that didn't belong to me. No more wondering when the next one would show up. No more quiet irritation building in the background. Just peace. And the unspoken understanding that some people don't change until they're forced to deal with their own actions. And sometimes, the best way to do that is to hand it all right back to them. Not all revenge needs to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes, the most effective kind is simple, patient, and perfectly timed. Because in the end, it's not about anger, it's about balance. So what would you have done in this situation? Confront him or do exactly this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more real revenge stories just like this. Trust me, some of them get way crazier than this one.